What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the last week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update, hit the like button and let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, I've got a product that I wasn't totally sure was legit at first. I had seen it in some Facebook ads only, and then I recently saw it pop up on RC Mart. And this is the Trasped Hummer H1 RC. I wasn't totally sure at first because it kind of has like that shiny toy-like look to it. So I jumped over to RC Mart and they actually had a decent listing of the product with all of its features. Although it doesn't really appear that it all got translated all that well. But what you do have is a Hummer H1 with actual realistic style, independent suspension all the way around with portals. Although it doesn't say portals, their listing actually says high torque side wheel speed reduction. Now, I don't think this is an RC for me, but if you're a big fan of a Hummer H1 and you want that realistic style overall, maybe this is for you. It is $540 though, which is expensive for this, but it does have a lot of features with opening doors and the body's, hard molded. It comes in like this styrofoam style case with a carry handle that does look pretty cool. It does show that it has a 16 channel stick radio to control it. Not sure what you need all of those functions for, but they're there, I guess. It does have locking and unlocking differentials, but it says that those are manual. It does show that it has a 2-speed, and it also says that it can be upgraded with front car winch traction and colorful warning lights. So if you're looking for a car that you can add front car winch traction to in the future, I think this is the only one I've seen. With the body off, this does look pretty cool. It's got a real just low profile chassis, very similar to the full-size version. The drivetrain, everything sits super low in this. I've seen a lot of other vehicles that were designed to be scale first that still didn't have a chassis that was this well sorted out. So durability and part support, always a concern, especially on a model that is this expensive, but still worth taking a look at, even if you just go to read their description. Next, we've got a new body release from Jconcepts. Hold your breath, but this one's actually pretty good. This is the 2007 Escalade body. Overall, while maybe an Escalade isn't something that a lot of people would get very excited about, this one actually, it looks good. And if you wanted to build kind of a unique scale truck, other than the monster truck that this thing is actually intended for, but if you wanted to build a pretty unique truck, this one would work. 12.5 to 13-inch wheelbase, so it's kind of appropriately long for a, long wheelbase Escalade. But also, it always was popular back in the days for people to use Escalade front clips on custom buggies. So I could see this being a perfect fit because I haven't seen another Escalade body that you could pick up recently. There used to be some back in the day, I think maybe HPI, can't remember who for sure, but they used to have one. Now there's another one. I know I harass Jconcepts a lot of the time, but good job on this one. They also had another teaser last week. It was kind of a, shadowy drag car looking teaser that they have. Don't know exactly what it was. I couldn't identify it all that well. Maybe a Ford Falcon or something along those lines. Again, I'm not sure, but they were putting that out there. I kept checking the website before filming the news. Hadn't seen anything yet, but I would expect that we'll see possibly some new details on one of their drag bodies, maybe in the coming week or two. Keep an eye out, report back on it. And then we had the release that I'm sure you have all seen by now, and that is the new Axial Rift Rock Bouncer. This is the new RBX platform, the Rift chassis. This is basically an all-new vehicle from Axial. I don't know if there's a single part on this vehicle that is a carryover other than maybe the helmets for the interior. Other than that, everything looks to be a new design. This, again, is meant to be a rock bouncer. And if you're not familiar with what rock bouncers are, they're basically two buggies that are meant to be shot up a hill as fast as possible. The full-size versions are usually very overpowered. The design of the cage is usually more artsy than, straight as strong U4 style, but still very cool trucks. This is very different than just a bomber. I did a full in-depth review of the vehicle right when it came out. I have specific dimension comparisons in that video to a bomber, so you can see how the cage size differs, the wheelbase, the wheels, everything about it. Show that all in that video. So you can go there for all of the actual specific numbers. But in general, this is a new 2.2 vehicle from Axial, which we haven't seen since the release of the SMT technically, but more specifically in this realm, the Bomber would have been the last one, and that would have been late 2015. This has all new axles and a new center transmission, and both those axles and transmission come out of the box with open differentials. Now that may seem a little counterintuitive, especially for a rock-specific vehicle, but it does probably help keep everything alive. Solid axles can be hard on things in different ways than a basher type platform with independent suspension all the way around. But this vehicle does come with a brushless system that is got a lot of punch. I tested mine the entire time on 3S, but it's 4S capable. On 4S, I think this thing will just be a uncontrollable rocket ship. On 3S, it was still super fast and a lot of fun. But regardless, I think that those open differentials with that big brushless system that they put in that vehicle are just gonna help keep things alive. The new 2.2 tires look like a modified Super Swamper TSL, cut and grooved the appropriate way that the full-size guys do, and they're almost 6 inches tall. So it's a big vehicle in person. It's a really cool design overall. Pretty excited for this truck. I had a lot of fun driving it and have more plans for it in the future. Now, as I mentioned, I did a review video and I also did a separate running video. I'll link both of those in the description below in case you haven't seen them yet. And then this coming Friday, I'm going to do my Friday Night Live build where we're going to completely disassemble the Rift and then put it all back together. So you guys will get to see in depth inside of that vehicle, see exactly what it's all about. So make sure and check that out. The Friday Night Live builds are every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think that RBX is going to be a lot of fun and probably give a quick boost to the RC rock bouncing scene. It's a scene that's kind of been around, although not huge, for quite a while. This likely to help bring things into more of a spotlight for a while. It's pretty easy to find some guys who want to race up a hill. It's a lot easier to find dirt hills than it is to find awesome rocks. So I could see how that could become popular in many areas as things become widely available like this truck. And speaking of the live broadcasts and the Axial Rift, next Wednesday, January 20th, Randall, who is the project manager at Axial who handled the Rift, he's going to be on the live takeover with Matt and I on Wednesday night. So again, Wednesday, January 20th, Randall will be on there. We'll ask him a bunch of questions about the project, how everything went, a little bit of backstory about it, and you guys can jump on there and ask questions as well. Randall's been on before, he was a great guest, and this one should be even more fun as it's right after the release of a big project. This week, I came up with something a little bit different than my typical question. This week, I came up with a list, kind of like a top 6 list. Maybe some of you got an extra $600 that possibly you have the chance of spending a portion of. And depending on what that portion is, I came up with a list of possible options for you to spend it on. Number 1 is 100, number 2, 200, and so on. So here are my choices in this range. You guys will have to let me know which ones you agree with and which ones you don't. For my number 1, I had the Hobby Plus CR24. This one is an inexpensive 124 scale crawler with looks like some pretty decent parts backing. So if you're looking to get into something cheap, you've got just a little bit kicking around, you want something that's basically 100% complete in the box for less than $100, this is a pretty decent option. Honorable mention would have been the Dancing Rider, but it's $102.99. For the $200 level though, Axial SCX24. It's not at the top end of that, but it gives you a little bit of room possibly to pick up a couple of upgrades even. SCX24, while it's significantly more than the Hobby Plus CR24, it's got a ton of aftermarket support. You can turn this thing into all kinds of little different setups depending on what you're really after. Jumping up to number 3, I'm gonna go Associated DR10 RTR. This one, just, the drag cars are fun. Tons of options, tons of personalizing. If you really enjoy building and then tuning specifically, this is a great option. There's tons of upgrade parts and things you can do. You can go complete full custom build with a carbon fiber chassis and all, or just pick up the RTR, grab a body that you like better, possibly upgrade the power system later, and just have fun, tweak and tune from there. Number 4, this was the most difficult price range to choose for me, but the one that I came up with, pretty happy with. This would be the Arma Limitless roller. Now, this one isn't complete. You would have to add a power system to this, but going fast, there's something about trying to just go as fast as possible, and that being your only goal, not handling it, just straight. Stay on the ground, go straight. Something about it that's a lot of fun. This Limitless is one that I've thought about so many times. Like, should I? But the Limitless, definitely the one that I felt most fitting for the number 4 spot. The number 5, this was the easiest one of this list for me. Brand new Axial Rift, $499, right there at that number. Easy, done deal for me. I had so much fun driving that truck. Just smile on my face the entire time. I think that this truck is going to be a great one from Axial. I expect that it's going to see the aftermarket support we all like and expect for the Axial vehicles especially. So, number 5, the Rift, duh. The orange one though. And then if you get to spend all of that $600, the low seat LMT. If it was just burning a hole in my pocket, I think the son of a digger would be the one that found its way into my shopping cart. I don't know why, but I just prefer that over the Grave Digger. Let me know which of the ones you agree with and disagree with. I assume there'll be a lot more of the latter than the former, but you know. With that, thanks as always for joining me here on the Scale News Update. I appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to hit the like button before you go. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.